Okay, hopefully we've got audio. Hi, Benjamin. Welcome on early. Just let me know, Benjamin, if you've got good audio there. I think we chatted a while ago. Nice to see you again. I'm getting kind of a bouncy audio on my end, guys. Just let me know if it's kind of a bit echoey for you. What I'll do is I'll take the AirPods out. Yeah, cool. Okay, I'm gonna change. Thank you for the feedback, guys. And just let me know if that audio is better. For those guys just hopping on, welcome on board. We're going to get stuck in the next couple of minutes. Feel free to just let me know where you guys are located in the world. Nice to meet you. Okay. Nice, Sunil, based in London. Not too far away from you myself. Terrible weather here in the UK today. William from Kansas. Benjamin from Northern Ireland. Karen from Ontario. Chloe from Bristol. Yeah, I'm still getting echo as well, guys. Apologies, I can't figure out where the issue is there. Bear with me a tick. I think I've figured it out. I think I've just got to have one of these channels open, and that should hopefully clear it up. Let's see what happens. There we go. I think that's clearer, isn't it? Cool. All right, guys. Well, we're going to get stuck in just 1 minute. We're just going to let a few more people come onto the webinar. What I'll give you guys too as well, you'll notice if you come over to the page that you're currently watching it on, I'm going to refer to a document or it's a web page whilst we're going through this. You can see it here. It's a Profitable Designer link. All you got to do is click that. I'm going to refer to that. I'm going to refer back to it, especially at the end of the presentation when I'm kind of talking through how our strategy and our engagement works. But feel free to have a look through that in your own time. There's a bit more information about the training program that we run, the strategy, how the workshop and the engagement works, the syllabus, obviously testimonials and results as well. But we'll go into more detail around how the strategy works and the topic of today's training as well. So I think what we can do is we can get stuck in. Cool. Everybody is saying that the feedback is much better. Kiko from Oxford, Oxford, we just spoke. Sonia, perfect. William, awesome. Hal, all right, let's get stuck in, guys. So, welcome. And obviously, the topic of today's conversation is this guy here. It's the counterintuitive keys to making any design business 2 to 5 times more profitable. Okay. Before we get really kind of stuck into the meat and bones, I'm just going to give you a 2 to 5 minute background as to why you should be listening to me. So I've got a design business. I'm an industrial/product designer. Um, Anywhere from about $65,000 to $80,000 per month. My design business averages. It's just me. I've got a couple of contractors in China and a couple of virtual assistants as well. I've been able to maintain that kind of run rate for probably the last 3.5 years. I use a mix of LinkedIn outreach with paid traffic as well to generate my opportunities. One offer, one sales process, one delivery method. We're going to get stuck into a bit more of that. Generated over 500 calls in the last 2 years for this design business, just to give you an idea of how often I'm generating bookings and sales calls for my design services. In the last 2 years, I've spent roughly about 130 or 40 grand on Facebook ads for my design business. So what's this? This is 2019. This is this year to this point. So I'm probably going to spend over 6 figures in paid traffic for this design business as well. Do anywhere from, my guess is probably about $750,000 in revenue. This is not the most important part, though. The most important part is the fact that over the last 3 or 4 years, I've been able to take what I've learned, a lot of mistakes, a lot of successes, translate that into a format that I can teach to other designers, 5 different countries, 12 different spaces, and other people have been able to get results as good, if not better than what I've got. Okay, so Heather, for instance, I'll quickly go through these just to give you a bit of context. Web and branding, $20,000 a month, first month that she came into the program. Matt was charging average of $7,000 and $8,000 per project. It's got it up to $20,000 per project and very quickly climbing. Chris, struggling to charge $1,500, closing $51,000 projects. Braden, product designer like me, $48,000 projects. Jonathan, bit of a rare anomaly, but I put it in here anyway, but closing 6-figure projects for government agencies. Louise, $23,000 projects as well. So the most important thing is that I've been able to translate what I know into a format that other designers have been able to take. And what this entire training is really about is just showing you those 4 keys. Those 4 keys that are considered counterintuitive to the way that most of the design space is operating today. And I'm going to show you how to think about those a bit differently. The one major takeaway, and I'm just going to double check and make sure that all audio is good here. Can I just get a confirmation, guys, that you guys can see everything correctly? You can see everything correctly and hear everything correctly before I kind of roll on, because I'd hate you to be missing out on stuff. Perfect. Cool. Right. So here's the biggest takeaway out of, building my own design business, working with over 160 design business owners. This is the key. This is really simply the key to building a profitable design business, is answering this question. This is the question that your prospect needs to hear the answer to, whether they ask it or not. Why should I invest my money with you over all the other options I have, including doing absolutely nothing? So you have to understand that every single business owner and decision maker that you're trying to get in front of and trying to work with, they're an investor. And they look at the world through an investor set of eyes, which means they're sitting there and they're going, okay, I've got an opportunity here, one here, one here. Which one, is the best to invest in? Which means, what's it going to cost me to invest? What am I going to get out of it? All right. And because of this, you're not just competing against designers. All right. You're competing against everything the business owner could be investing money in. Sales teams, marketing, stock, inventory, product development, electricity, property rent, all of these things where it's clearly communicated that the business owner could invest money in it and they can make back a return, or it improves the functionality of the business. Okay, so you're competing against all of that, and if you cannot communicate how you're a return on investment, then you're competing, against absolutely nothing, because if you can't communicate how you're a return on investment, you're a cost. You're just a creative cost, which means that it's actually better for the decision maker to do nothing and save the money for a rainy day. Okay, so the real big problem that most designers have is the fact that they're selling design services. And when you sell design services, you are selling something that is hyper commoditized. What happens when you go to the supermarket and you go to the milk section and there's 55 different brands of milk that are all full cream? What are most people going to make a decision based on? They're going to go off price, because that's the only major differentiator they see. You might have a different kind of cow, and you might have a different kind of milk extraction process. At the end of the day, milk's milk. And the consumer doesn't care about the process and design. They don't care about the subtle nuances that we spend all of our time kind of sweating over. They care about the result. And if they can't see the result communicated in what it is that you're offering, you're just another bottle of full cream milk, and they're going to pick based on price. Okay, this is why it is so damaging to sell design services. And when you do sell design services, it's hard for prospects to take you seriously, because again, you haven't answered this question. All right, which then makes it very hard to get new prospects on the phone, because you're selling something that they can already get through their existing designers and their original network. All right, and if you're lucky enough to get people on the phone, it's hard to convert them into new projects at project rates that you deem required, to charge what you're worth, because at the end of the day, we haven't answered this question. So people can get really excited about, moving forward with us, and then we drop the price and the energy in the room changes, because they need to hear this. And a lot of people get caught. They get caught away with the idea of working with a designer until the designer drops the price. And then the business owner's like, well, it's all great, but how's it worth $5,000? How's it worth $10,000? How do I get my money back? And they'll ask these questions if we haven't answered this. Okay, so the absolute key to everything that we're going to go through today is that you need to answer this question. Otherwise, what I'm going to show you in the next 4 steps is it's really not going to work. Okay, so that brings us on to the first thing. And this is by far the most important counterintuitive thing when it comes to building your design business, is instead of selling design services, sell one measurable result for one ideal client. Okay, one measurable result means you deliver a particular result that people can tell whether you've delivered it or not. The problem with a lot of designers is they sell open-ended, airy-fairy stuff like, connect with your customers or feel confident about your brand. These are not measurable results. They're just in the air kind of intangibles, all right, for one ideal client. So this is how we think about it. And what we call this is building a package knowledge offer. And really, the first point is really just understanding that if you were to look back through all your past projects, you're going to notice that there's a mix of great projects, okay projects, and terrible projects. Well, what determines how good of a project you've got is generally directly proportionate to the difficulty of the problem that you solve. You'll find that most of the projects where you felt like you weren't valued for your time, it's because the difficulty of the problem you were solving was very low. So the $250 branding project you did for the mom and pop, store who sells cookies on a Saturday, that's a $250 logo job. Okay, the difficulty of the problem is very, very low. Then have a look at some of the great projects you've had. Ask yourself what the problem is that led those clients to be prepared to pay you way more than you can get off all your other clients combined. Okay, it was probably something to do with the problem that they were trying to solve and the transition that they were trying to make. Okay, so if you were to have a look at all of your projects in the past, why would you position your business around appealing to everybody when you've proven that only a handful of them are the kind of opportunities that you want to recreate in the future? Okay, so that's step one, is understanding that there's no point being for everybody. You should only be for the people where you've proven that your time is most valuable. Okay? The second step is really understanding that our job is to deliver transitions. Okay? It's to move people from where they currently are, their existing situation, away from that towards a measurable result. The less measurable the results, the less we can charge. Because at the end of the day, people need an exchange for their money. What do they get for their money? If you're going to say, oh, well, you're going to have confidence in your brand, how do I measure that? If you struggle to measure it, you're going to be able to struggle to charge for it. Okay? But if you can come in and instead of, just giving people confidence in their brand, you're able to help them expand their market reach and appeal to an audience that they weren't able to before, that's something that can be measured through demographic sales, for instance. Okay, so it's all about measurable results. So then understanding that if we get paid for the ability to take clients away from their problem and towards a measurable result, then what we have to understand is that the majority of designers only sell design services. So every single client that's ever come to you has never wanted design. They've just been led to believe that design is going to be a stepping stone in order to get them to a measurable result. What most designers do, though, is that they just sell design. And you can tell they sell design because they're a design business. But the problem with this is that they're not asking hard questions around what does the client have to do once they've received the design deliverable. What do the client have to do from that point on in order to go and achieve the measurable result that would lead them to engage the designer to start with? And in not asking those questions and not being prepared to help take the responsibility of figure those things out, they leave a massive leap of faith for the client to go figure it out themselves. So the best way that you can create way more value in your design business is to define who these best clients are that you've been working with, what problem led them to engage with you, and instead of just selling design services like every other designer, figure out what else is required to increase the likelihood of them achieving the outcome that led them to hire you to start with. Okay? You define these steps, this becomes the advisory component to your design offer. Okay? And then all we have to very simply do is combine this with our design skills to create a package knowledge offer so that we're selling what we know instead of what we do. Okay? I'm going to give you question time in about 5 or 6, slides, because this becomes a really important topic. And this is by far the most important point, is how we're selling. Okay? So we combine these things together. And the big thing, I'm going to give you an example here. This doesn't mean more work. This just means learning how to get them a better result. All right. So very simply figuring out who my best clients were, focusing my entire business around helping these best clients. Then, instead of just selling design services, figuring out what the overall problem was that led them to engage with me and selling them in a complete solution that took all the responsibility instead of selling design services. This is how I was able to increase my average customer value by over 5 times. Okay, my average customer value now is about $25,000 to $28,000 on average. All right, this is how I did it. As a product designer, I figured out my best clients were individuals who had ideas for products who didn't know how to get them to market. Okay, they weren't looking for product design, but this is what most designers sold. So instead, I figured out how to connect them to the right manufacturing and packaging companies to show them how to, get the logistics so that they could deliver their products to their door, and then pointed them in the direction of the right commercialization strategy so that they could achieve their overall goal to create their product and make their first commercial sales. Okay? I combined these things together. And here's the thing, 95% of my work still went into delivering product design. But it was the 5% of responsibility and the time it took to help offer these things that allows me to charge multiples more, because now I'm selling a result instead of the raw labor. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm going to give you a few examples here. So this is exactly Matt, who we were talking about before. Increased his average project value from $8,000 to $10,000 to $20,000 now, and the average value of the proposals he's got out, $25,000 to $28,000. Okay, how did he do it? He figured out that his best clients, him and Lisa's best clients, were tech companies who weren't generating their desired results from their marketing efforts. All right, instead of just selling branding, figured out how to give them audits, do a website rollout, and taught them how to reach out and engage with potential customers and prospects in the marketplace using LinkedIn outreach. Okay, solved the whole problem instead of just selling the design services. Chris, exactly the same, struggling to charge $1,500 per project, closed a $51,000 engagement because he did exactly the same thing. Figured out that all of his best clients all were in the same space, machinery company space. Okay, instead of just selling communication design, figured out that the big issue was the fact that the companies didn't have the right sales marketing material to go pitch and sell more machines. If he was able to sell 2 or 3 more $2 million machines per year, do you think it makes sense that somebody invests $51,000 to help him deliver that result? Okay, easy, clear, return on investment. Alyssa and Michelle, exactly the same. You can see here, one single client, $10,000, not 15 clients totaling $10,000. How do they do it? By very simply figuring out who their best clients were. Instead of just selling web and branding, how their best clients would then communicate their unique sales proposition and how their best clients would get that web and branding in front of the right people so that they could generate sales opportunities in their first clients. Okay, again, 95% of their work goes into delivering these two, but it's the knowledge and the expertise required to help them and point them in the right direction for these two. It all comes down to this. Why should I invest my money with you over all the other options I have, including doing absolutely nothing? If you're a designer who sells design services to everybody, it's a very hard question to answer. But if you focus specifically on helping one particular person in the market with one specific problem, and instead of selling design services per hour, you're selling the result because you're taking on the responsibility of getting them all the way to their desired outcome, then it's very easy to answer this question. Okay, so that's the first counterintuitive key, guys. So feel free to fire through any questions you have. This is obviously the most important step in the whole process, is answering that question. This is the strategy that we use. So feel free to ask any questions you do have around how to build an offer, how to communicate your value, how to focus on one ideal client and get these guys a really tangible result. We'll obviously run question time at the end of this presentation as well, so you'll have another 20 minutes to ask questions a bit later on. Would it be possible to create this strategy for a desired client? What do you mean by that, Sonia? Just need a bit more information, that's all. Does everybody find what I've presented so far clear in regards to how we get to the narrowing of the focus of who we work with and what we do for them? Cool. All right. 3PS Design says yes. Benjamin Nesbitt says yes. MCM Media, how are these strategies quantifiable when dealing with mum and pop businesses on strict to no budgets? Well, it's not that's the entire point, is that if you want to earn a living and charge what you need to be charging in order to build a successful business, you can't be dealing with mum and pop businesses on strict to no budgets. It's really that simple. You can be helping them, provide a really valuable transition, but if you're just going to be providing them a logo, unfortunately, there's not enough value in that because it's the value of the transition that people are paying for. Julie B, any thoughts on selecting which additional types of services to offer? Absolutely. It all comes down to you deciding who you're going to help and what's the valuable problem that you can solve for them. That's what will tell you what service to offer. So it has nothing to do with what you like doing or what you think. It all just comes down to what's going to get them the measurable result that would lead them to invest in you. Basically not having a high amount of clients, but maybe one or two from a specific background and wishing to work with more in that direction. Example, learning design. Yeah, well then, if it's the learning design space that you want to, focus on, Sonia, you want to ask yourself, what's the big problem that people in the learning design space have? And then if I'm including my design skills and what I know within the design space, what are the additional stepping stones that these guys need to take in order to reach the greatest version of the result and the outcome they would like to achieve? William, the concept is clear. I'm looking through the lens of my business to see how this translates. I'm an interior designer. I know it can be positioned, just hadn't thought of it this way. Yeah, so William, the best thing that you can do is ask yourself, what's the actual result that your best clients are trying to achieve? None of them want interior design. They want to be able to show off their kitchen to their friends. Or the problem is the fact that they can't have people around at a dinner party because they feel ashamed. Or if it's successful, self-employed or people in the finance sector that earn over $300,000 a year, they want a house that represents how successful they are in their career. But it's really about understanding how your best clients think and what's the actual problem that would lead them to hire you. And it's never design. Design's just the vehicle. Will you be going into how to develop a specific knowledge and expertise in the advisory steps? Jeremy, no, because that's circumstantial on your own situation. At the end of the day, all you need to know is this. What's the biggest problem that you've come across in your experience with your clients? What's the result they're looking for? And what can you sell beyond design that's going to increase the likelihood that they achieve this instead of just receiving this? Are the measurables based analytics? No. So obviously, analytics can be one. It can be revenue generated. It might be traffic that people want to a site. It might be sales. It might be more booked appointments, or it might just be an event. But the event has to be definable in a way that people can go, I know we've arrived here. Does that make sense? What most designers do is they'll talk about grow your business. What does that mean? How do I know that I've got there? How do I know that I've got my money, my money's worth? We want to be talking about specific events that we can help them get to. When you first began to take this approach, how did you approach your clients to best identify their desired results? Or did you infer their desired results? That's a good question. It was me understanding, well, these guys don't care how good my design is if they don't get it to market and sell it. That would be the only reason that they'd engage with me, right? And then asking them, well, what are you doing after you take my design? And then they're like, oh, I'm going to get it manufactured. I've got to go do this. Mike Beard says clear but difficult. Yeah, it is difficult, and business is difficult. But the more difficult it is to communicate the deliverable and result we can deliver, the more difficult it is for you to get paid what you think you're worth. Marta, for design services, do you recommend being the designer and contractor, what I do, or getting out of the contracting and use a sub, or just refer to the property owner to a contractor? Marta, it's less to do with the format of how you deliver, and it's more what are you actually delivering. So don't worry so much about the format of the delivery. Worry about what's the problem and what's the best version of the solution, and then you figure out what the best format is to help bridge that gap. Yeah. Huh, crazy. Cool. We'll keep going, guys. There's obviously going to be a way more Q&A time a bit later on as we progress through. Okay. The second thing is this: the ability to get prospects on the phone. The counterintuitive part is to sell the value of the call instead of talk about design services. So let me just explain this. So whether we're using free strategies, which is, moving people from left to right here, or using paid strategies, there's two big mistakes designers make when it comes to trying to move people from left to right. Three, actually. The first is that most designers don't do any outreach. So I'll ask you guys now, what kind of average per month outreach numbers are you guys doing? I'd say 95% of people I speak to, it's less than 10 people per month. And that's why they don't have consistency in the design business. So that's the first mistake. The second mistake is this, is that it's very hard to get people on the phone if we're not answering this question through the way that we position the business. Because if we can't answer this question, why would somebody spend the time to talk to us? They probably already have a designer. But even if they don't have a designer, how are you communicating that a conversation is actually going to get them to a better outcome and that you're just not a creative cost? So that's the second mistake. And that's why a lot of designers cannot move people from left to right through free and paid traffic. They'll reach out to people saying, hey, do you need design services? Or the ads will just be like, need design, need branding. Nobody needs it, right? It's just a vehicle. It's not the destination. The third big mistake most designers make when it comes to trying to get people on the phone is that all they're talking about is design services. So the last thing you want to be talking about is design when it comes to your marketing outreach. Why? Because people don't care about the design. They care about the outcome and the result. So what you should be doing is selling the value of a call. What do people get out of speaking to you? And if you answer this question here, right, and you can communicate how you are a return on investment, then people will want to speak to you just because a 45-minute conversation with you might get them closer to understanding how they can solve their problem. All right. So you should be selling the value of the call. What does people need to exchange? Most of the people that you're going to be working to, speaking to, the decision makers, they don't want to just dump 45-minute conversation on a designer who isn't going to provide them with any insight in how they need to be thinking differently about their business. But the minute that you're talking about a valuable problem you can solve for them, and you're talking about measurable results, they'll be willing to book a 45-minute call with you, because at least even if you guys don't move and work together, they'll feel like they're getting something out of the call. They might be able to hear your process, or they might be able to hear the other results that you've been able to deliver. So they're willing to exchange that 45 minutes. Okay? So it all comes down to answering this question again. This is why it becomes so important. Because the minute that you start answering this question and saying, look, I deal specifically with solving this problem in this market, and this is the result I'm able to get for my clients, this is the process we use, then people are like, gee, that's the result I want. He works specifically with the people that I consider myself and the same problem I've got. At least if I book a 45-minute call, I'll feel like I'm getting closer to a solution to my problem. All right? That's how you get people on the phone. Not, hey, do you need design services? I'm communicating that I'm a creative cost. How about we talk about how I can take $80 an hour out of your pocket? That's why most designers can't get people on the phone. It's because all of their marketing content is talking about design instead of the actual destination that people would actually use design in order to get to. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so when you position yourself around answering that question. You sell the value of a conversation instead of design services in your marketing efforts, and you actually reach out to the market and start engaging with people, and you measure your efforts and do it consistently, you'll find very quickly that you're able to optimize and improve your outreach numbers and get to a point that's half as decent as this. These are the KPIs that we aim for in our program. All right, so everybody that you've seen before, get their outreach numbers to this. So reaching out to 500 people using the free strategies or paid strategies. Out of those 500, we get 100 people into a conversation or to watch a video case study. Out of those 100 people who become aware of what we can do, 10 of those people will book a call. And if we're not meeting the person face to face and it's more of an online transaction, then we should be able to close 20% of these calls into closed projects. Okay. If you're charging $5,000 per project and you've built a valuable offer that solves a valuable problem, this is literally a $10,000 a month design business. Okay. 500 people reaching out to every single month. That might seem like a lot, but that's about 14 people per day. How long does it take to connect to 14 people per day on LinkedIn? 20 minutes. What about email? Maybe a tad longer. Well, the real question is, what are you doing in your day that's more important than reaching out and generating future opportunities? Okay. So if this is the $10,000 a month design business model, how do we grow? Simple. We just increase the amount of people that we bring in the front end of this and make aware of who we are, selling the value of the call again. Okay, we want to double again, increase the inputs. Want to double again, increase the inputs. Okay, the minute that we understand the relationship between what we need to do to get somebody on the phone, and we know how many people we need to speak to on the phone to close a project, then we've got everything we need to scale. Then it just becomes, how do we get in front of more people? So what we teach people in the program is that you can do these things manually, but then there's tools that allow you to automatically do these things as well. Then we have a lot of people in our program outsource the work to VAs, virtual assistants in the Philippines, so that they're teaching people how to do their marketing for them. And then we have quite a few people move on to paid traffic. And as you can imagine, for $100 a day, you get in front of 4,000 people very easily. Okay? And this is exactly how I scaled to $80,000 a month. The only reason I don't go beyond $80,000 a month is because the fact that I'm bouncing between Australia and the UK, I don't want to hire staff in ground, and with product design projects like designing bottles and things, you need very good engineers, because the tooling prices to produce something like this are like $250,000, right? So there's only so much work I can take on before I'll run into, spinning too many wheels. All right. This is how Heather was able to generate $20,000 a month coming first month into the program, just by building an offer out and doing this, reaching out every single day, getting virtual assistants to help her with the outreach and showing them what to do. All right. Carrie, exactly the same. Interior designer, building a video case study, posting in Facebook, engaging with people. They'd go check out her Facebook profile. They go check out her website, video case study, selling the value of what she could do. Alex, exactly the same in branding and identity. Alyssa and Michelle, again, sold the value of the conversation instead of the design services. Kurt, best ever month, $8,000. Most he's ever earned in 1 month, just using Facebook outreach and consistently connecting with people. Adam, exactly the same. All right. 35 days to make his first sale of $8,000. So that's the second point. Second contrarian belief is really just sell the value of the call instead of talk about design services. With websites and e-commerce, most clients think design includes marketing and maintenance. How do you separate these? Or you just separate them. Well, marketing's a completely different thing to like building out an e-commerce site or a platform. But when it comes to selling marketing, you'd want to be generating results to be getting the monthly retainer. Kelson, how many hours are you designing versus selling on calls? Good question. I wouldn't do more than a call a day at my absolute busiest. But still, I would say 75% of my time is top level creative direction for all the projects. Julie, what are your top tips for creating a video case study? Oh, yeah, good question, Julie. Probably a 15-minute long video that talks about the problem that you solve, the pain that most people go through when they can't solve that problem, the big mistakes people make when they're trying to solve that problem, examples of you helping your clients get to a really valuable solution, a couple of case studies, and then a walkthrough very simply of the 4 or 5 step process you use to solve the problem and get a result for your clients, and then inviting them onto a call and selling the value of what they'll get on the call. That's probably the best format for a video case study. To get to 80K per month, would that mean 80 calls? No. Well, it'd mean 80 calls if, let's say, if my average customer value was, $10,000, absolutely. But with an average customer value of like $25,000 to $30,000 per project, that's only 2.5 to 3 projects per month. So you can see I'm only doing 10 calls at the absolute, minimum per month. Does that make sense? So 10 calls per month, it's roughly about 10, 15 hours, give or take another hour or two, as we're going through. Seems like a huge investment. Are you mostly using videos? Yeah, I mean, when I'm reaching out to people on LinkedIn, the majority of, or the virtual assistants are doing that, the majority of the education they get is by referring them back to the website, which is a video that explains the value of a conversation with me. Think about it. Like, let's just quickly go Product Design London. If you are looking to get your product to market, let's have a quick look. You've got the problem that you want to get a product to market, you don't know how to. On a scale of 0 to 10, how good of a job is this website doing? I've come onto the homepage and I see nothing but a pretty picture, right? We design beautiful products and experiences. Cool. Well, I don't care about that because I just want to get my product to market. Okay. Here's all these pretty products. Where are the results? Where are the sales? How much investment were you able to win for the client? Okay. The problem is that they're not communicating these things, which means that the business's values don't align with the decision maker. So what you want to do is ask yourself, like, do your values as a design business align with what your best customers and clients are trying to achieve? Does that make sense, guys? So I'll keep moving on now. Feel free to keep asking questions. I'll come back and check in a sec. So, third counterintuitive key, it comes down to the ability to turn calls into projects. And the counterintuitive key here is to not sell during the sales process. We should be doing all of our selling in the communication of who the business is and the result that we provide, and in our marketing efforts to get people on the phone. So we don't do any selling when it comes to the call. I'll show you why, okay? So here are the 3 rules of sales. The first is that in order for you to be on the phone with somebody, they've come across your message, and this message has created agitation, okay? The blue dot here represents where they currently are, their existing situation. The red dot represents where they're trying to get to. And it's the fact that these things aren't perfectly overlapped and the fact that there's a bit of distance between them, people aren't exactly where they want to be, that when they respond to your message, this is why you're able to get them on the phone. Okay, so it has nothing to do with design. The problem gap, the fact that they're not where they want to be, is what drives the prospect to take action. Okay, so that's the first rule of sales, is just understanding that. The second rule of sales is to just clearly diagnose and separate the two situations. So 80% of the sales process should really just be you trying to figure out exactly where they are now and exactly what they consider a powerful result and a successful engagement. What most designers do is they'll ask a couple of questions and then they'll just sell the value of design, and they won't actually figure out what actual result this person's trying to build towards overall. So what we do is we ask questions like, what motivated you to want to, book a time to speak with me? What's the big problem that you're running into? What have you tried to do to fix this? How do you determine what success looks like? Why do you guys not think that you're capable of achieving this on your own? What is it that you want my help with specifically? And if we spend, 85, 90% of the sales call clearly diagnosing and separating these two situations, we should be able to get to the point, if we've reached out to the right kind of person, that if we feel like we can help them, then all we've got to do, step number 3, is we just position ourselves as the bridge between these two situations. And this is how to create a really powerful sales process, because if we're targeting our marketing and targeting only reaching our best clients and building a really powerful offer that helps them get to a result, we should be able to very easily position ourselves as the bridge to the gap, where most designers will only come in and say, here's the design labor, this is what it'll cost. You can come in and go, here's the entire journey to get you to that desired situation, that measurable result. First, we design, we create the design content, and then I walk you through the process of how to use that design content to get to a meaningful result. Okay? There's no selling in this. There's no like Wolf of Wall Street, always be closing kind of rah stuff. It's literally just understanding that they don't care about design, they've got a problem they need to be solved. 2, just clearly creating separation between where they are now and where they're trying to get to. And then 3, just clearly stating how your offer bridges those two gaps, if it does. That's literally how to sell. Most designers cannot sell their design services because they don't listen to what this is. They don't listen to what this is, and then they throw design in here and they don't actually make a connection as to how this is going to bridge the gap. When people can see a solid bridge, they'll always invest. Okay? And again, it just comes down to answering this question. If you can't answer this question, it doesn't matter how good you are at sales. You're not going to win. Okay? This is how Alexa's able to double her rates, just because she created that separation and positioned herself as the bridge. Brian had 3 clients come in the past week, all with individual situations that if he didn't use this sales process, he feels he would have lost in the past. Mario closed his ever biggest sale of $5,000, even after a lot of persistence and resistance from the prospect, was able to sit strong to the fact that he diagnosed what the problem gap was and positioned himself as the bridge. Right. Any questions when it comes to sales? Kelson, can you explain that in another way? Could you provide me with a bit more context around what you're talking about there, and then I'm happy to answer that. Do you think there is value having a dedicated salesperson on commission? Julie, good question. In the long term, yes. But you're the person who knows the business and knows the offer and knows the value. and the problem better than anybody, you're going to be the best person to sell until you've done such a good job of consistently getting those kind of clients and projects and delivering that value to the point where you've just got such powerful marketing content and such a powerful product that it just sells itself. Very good question, though. But to be honest, anybody, the minute that you build a really powerful product that solves a real problem, you'll be able to get your 5-year-old cousin to sell it and just read off a script. Because it all just comes down to the results. And this is why designers have such a big struggle selling their value and getting people on the phone, because they just haven't answered this question. All you got to do is answer this question. It's really that simple. Okay? So, let's move on. And this is the last counterintuitive key to design business profitability. It's the ability to maintain maximum focus. So in a world where people are talking about productivity and doing a billion different things, it's the people that can maintain the ability to have maximum focus on literally one or two things. Okay? So what I'm going to do is just demonstrate this really quickly. Okay? And you're going to see very quickly where you might be going wrong with your current approach to how do you grow. All right? So this circle here represents your circle of focus. All right? This is your brain, and this is what your brain is focusing on. So if we've only got one thing in this circle of focus, it means we're spending 100% of our time on LinkedIn outreach. Okay? But what happens when we put something else into the mix? Let's start doing networking, physical, not that we can do much of it during coronavirus, but let's put physical networking into there as well. So you're trying to find a lot of networking events, you're spending a lot of time at them drinking and, chatting with people, and you're doing LinkedIn at the same time. What does this mean for our circle of focus? What it means is that we're now spending 50% of our time here and 50% of our time here. But I got a simple question for you. How many people do you know have succeeded at anything in their business or their lives by half-assing it? Right? Not to mention like 10th-assing it or 10%-assing it. How many people do you know have succeeded at anything by spending half of the amount of time there? Right? It's practically nobody, because it takes your full focus and attention. Well, the big issue that I see in the design space is that I wish people were as productive as half-assing it. But what do most designers do? Well, you've got to create an ebook. Oh, I've got to rebrand because I think I'm changing my positioning. So now we're quarter-assing it. Oh, I heard you've got to have a podcast so that you can build credibility. Oh, and I better start writing a blog as well. So now we're sixth-assing it. Right? Oh, I got to try some paid ads. Oh, I better build a YouTube channel. And now we're eighth-assing it. And what you'll find is most designers, they get told they have to do all of these things. So they'll go do all of these things. But when you're doing that, you're dividing your attention. And you're never actually spending the time to just get one freaking thing right, because you're dividing all of your time and energy and efforts to all of these different areas. So yeah, you've got a YouTube channel. Yeah, you got an ebook. Yeah, you got a blog. Yeah, you're networking, you're rebranding, you've tried some ads, and you've got a podcast, and you're reaching out on LinkedIn, but you could be making more money in a full-time job. Why? Because you haven't gone deep in anything. You're just shallow across the board. Okay? The key, and this is the big mistake I made like 3 or 4 years ago. I would have liked to have been, running my own successful design business like 10 years ago when I got out of uni. Why did it take me like 6 years to figure out? It's because I was spread so thin along all of these things that everybody talks about in the design space. And you can tell when people listen to this advice, because you go to their website and you'll scroll to the bottom and they've got the YouTube button. They've got a link to the Twitter account. They've got another one to Instagram. They've got one to Facebook. And then you check each of those accounts and there's nothing on them. They're just trying to do everything, but they're not going deep in anything. Okay? What I figured out, and I didn't figure this out by myself, I paid a mentor to teach me exactly how to be thinking about this, is I blocked all of this crap out. And I focused on nailing one thing until I perfected it. And then I outsourced it and automated it. And then I moved on to the next thing. I figured out LinkedIn. I outsourced it and automated it to virtual assistants. And then I figured out paid ads. And then I got to figuring out paid ads. And I was at $80,000 a month without any of this other shit. Right? You don't need everything at once. You can have everything if you want it, but do it one at a time. Put all of your focus into one thing, get it right, and once you've got it right, outsource and delegate it, and then move on to the next thing. And I guarantee that with one free strategy, nailing that and then outsourcing it and automating it, and then moving to one paid strategy, that's all you'll have to do. You won't need any of this other bullshit. No ebook, no YouTube channel, no blog, no networking, no rebrand, right? Because with this, I can get in front of 6,000 people for $200 on LinkedIn a month. Spending $130,000 in the last 2 years on Facebook alone, not to mention Google and YouTube ads, get in front of multiple millions of people. I don't need the rest of the shit. Okay? Any questions? Can you speak more about how you leverage the virtual assistants? How do you find a good one? There's no such thing as a good or bad virtual assistant. There's only good or bad instructions. So it's your job to build the operating procedures step by step for them to follow. And the only way that you'll know how to build an operating procedure for a virtual assistant or a staff member is by mastering it yourself. So first you master it yourself, you get LinkedIn outreach to the point that you're generating clients and revenue from it, and then you outsource it and you show the other person, here's the standards, operating procedure for how to do it. I'll pay you to do it. That's how you do it. So it's not how good the virtual assistant is. It's how good your instructions are. Does that all make sense, guys? I mean, I nearly think that last one's key. People underrate how important it is to focus on just solving one problem at a time instead of doing a billion different things. And you can think about it a lot of ways. If this is all the different types of clients that you work on and all the different skill sets that you work on, how can you be world class at any of them, right? The key to building a really powerful offer is doing the same thing, is ignoring 98% of the market and only focusing on your best clients, okay? So when it comes to focus, right, why is the ability to maintain maximum focus so important? It's because these are the only three things that matter in your design business. Your ability to build one measurable result for one ideal client. Another way of putting that is building a powerful offer that no one in the market but you has. Spending your time figuring out the best way to get prospects onto the phone. And then building a sales process that allows those conversations to turn into sales. Everything else that you could be doing in your design business is a waste of time. Even delivering your existing projects is not as important as these three things here. Designers who prioritize existing work over future work, in the future they don't have work, right? So the ability to maintain maximum focus and keep these three things the most important thing are the key to success. And the reason that any designer isn't where they want to be, it's because how much time are they spending building an offer that separates them from the market in a way that's viable? How much time are they spending trying to get people on the phone? and how much time are they spending communicating their value in a way that they can be seen as an investment. All right. So how do you set this all up? How I set it up is that I hired individual mentors. So I went and got a mentor when it came to offer building, one to figure out marketing strategy, one purely with sales. None of these people were in the design space. They were outside the design space because guess what? The skills that I needed to figure out and get good at were not design skills, they were business skills, all right? I spent $28,000 on 3 mentors that I've still got to today. Took me 7 months to get to the point that I started to see some momentum and some results from that. All right, so that's option number 1. Takes a bit of time, bit of money as well. Option number 2 is to just combine what you can find online. This is pretty much what most designers are doing. They're just creating a patchwork quilt of design blog, another blog. The problem is that the majority of the content is written by design interns doing marketing internships at companies. And it's all just advice that's regurgitated from college, right? So this can take months, years, never. Third option is even if you're thinking about option 1 or 2, just schedule a free call and we can walk through it together. I'm happy to walk you through, your next best steps, all right? And you might have been like, it was very hard for you to see how you can individually apply all of this strategy perfectly and clearly. Well, the reason that it's hard to do is because your business is unique, You've obviously got different types of clients. What you do for them is different. Your understanding of the market and your clients is different. And that makes it impossible to create a one-size-fits-all blueprint for the training, right? But the thing is if I'm able to ask you like 15 questions personally, then very easily we're able to identify the changes that you need to make. Okay, so what I'm doing is inviting you to hop on a call. And what we can do on this call goes for 45 minutes. I'm going to show you the link for this in a second. All you've got to do, actually, let me just quickly bring it up, is you'll see that on the mastermind page, there's a link below the video, you can see the apply now to see if you qualify. Okay, it's just profitabledesigner.com/mastermind. And then profitabledesigner.com/apply. Okay, so this is what we can do on the call, guys. And we're going to open it up to questions again very soon. We can show you exactly where your winning offer and model is based on your past experience and where your understanding of industry is. How to identify a valuable offer in the future. Absolutely what to avoid offering and saying that's absolutely killing you communicating your value. What platform is best for you to find leads on? So email, Facebook, LinkedIn, paid ads as well. We can take you through what platform best suits for your individual situation. And obviously we've helped hundreds of design businesses like yours. So if you have a look through here, guys, we've obviously helped people in architecture, branding design, website design, animation, web, product, branding identity. You can have a look through some of the testimonials and results here. 160 students, 12 design disciplines, 5 countries over the space of the last 3 years. We all share the same thing, is that we just got to answer this question and then put the systems in place in order to get in front of people, okay? So if you're sitting there, I just want to give you an idea of like what the return on investment of this call could be. Let's just assume that you're a $50,000 a year designer. You get 20 projects at $2,500 each. Well, what if what we could show you in the call could increase your project value by 10%? So that's like another $250 per project. What if we could help you increase the amount of calls by 10%? Well, most designers I speak to don't reach out to more than 1 person a month. So what if you started reaching out to 300 per month? All right. What if we could increase the amount of closes you get in the sales process by 10%? And what if we could increase your daily effectiveness by hearing what you do every single day and telling you to delete half of it because it doesn't matter? All right. 10% incremental changes on each of those doesn't seem like a lot, but when you multiply them into each other, that could be literally increasing your bottom line by 50%, right? If you're just starting out, it means that you'll be able to get to a figure like this 50% quicker than you would otherwise, right? So that's the return on investment of a 45-minute call. If you're a good fit, what we'll do is we'll walk you through the back end of the program. You can obviously see the breakdown. What this page is all about is explaining exactly how our mastermind engagement works, for example, right? The syllabus, the results people have got, common questions, etc. All right, so feel free to have a look at that. We obviously work with designers with a certain type of business model, so it's obviously not for everybody, but even if you're not a good fit, we're still going to ask you the questions and help you out and show you these things. Okay, so feel free to schedule a call now. It's first in, first served. I'm going to run Q&As for like the next 20 minutes. For the people that book a call within the next 20 minutes, you get a free 24-hour trial of the Profitable Designer Masterminds, the whole 42-hour training program, and you actually get a $2,000 discount if you feel like it's a good fit and you want to move forwards. All right, so 20 past the hour. We'll say half past the hour, okay? Give people 26 minutes to consider whether that's something they want to do. Even if you don't feel like the mastermind's the right time, book a call, because I'm still happy to take you through everything and still give you everything that we discussed before. So all you got to do is consider the alternatives, right? And the fact that this could be the highest return on investment you take this month in your business. All right, so that's pretty much the end of it, guys. And now what I'm going to do, we finished a bit earlier than I thought we would. So I'm just happy to take questions off you guys for as long as you want to ask them, to be honest. I'm pretty much an open book, so feel free to ask anything. How specific should you be in promising your prospects results? What if you don't achieve their desired result? Yeah, so Philip, what you want to do is get the result at whatever cost you can for your existing client and get them in at whatever charge rate you can and make sure you deliver the result. The result's the most important thing. Because the minute that you can get results for somebody, then what you can charge dramatically multiplies. This happens a lot with people going through our program. They'll come in, they have an aspiration to charge $5,000 or $10,000 for a project, but the first project they get in is only $2,000 because they haven't got the results yet. But what they do is they say, look, this is the kind of result I'm moving towards. I'd love to get somebody at a beta price, like an introductory price, because I haven't got those results yet. Are you interested? And the minute they deliver a powerful result, then what can they do next time? They go, look, hey, you're a lot like my first client that I got a result for. Interested in chatting? And that becomes the strategy. Yeah, so feel free to unleash your questions, guys. I've had a good amount of questions so far, but I'm sure there's going to be quite a few people that still want to ask questions around their offer, how to best identify their most valuable offer as well, how to reach out to the market, anything design business related. I'm a complete open book, guys. Yeah, so the consultation link, let me bring that up for you, it's this one here. profitabledesigner.com/apply for the consultation. Do your clients ever have to deal with too many sales? The challenges that come with rapid growth? How do you deal with that? A good problem to have. Yeah, Julie, it is a good problem to have, but it's actually a pretty painful problem as well. The first answer to too many sales is that it means that we're not charging enough. So the first response to too many sales occurring is that the price has to increase by at least 30%. to make some of those people go away. Then the next step after that is, if we've got too many sales and we're charging enough and we've pushed the price as high as we can, now we should have the resources to invest in help delivering people get to the outcomes. Don't be shy, guys. Still 41 people on the. I think we started with like 53. So there's still quite a few people hanging around that must have questions. How do you tackle budget freezes and slowdowns during COVID? Convincing businesses to spend money despite certainty. Well, the first thing is that, what do people get for their money? Like, you can convince a business to spend money, but what do they get for their money? Just investing in good design doesn't cut it. How do you tackle budget freezes? You generate more opportunity. So what most designers will do is they'll rely on too few opportunities so that it does matter what happens with each individual one. But you should always be trying to create 50% more opportunity than you have the time to deal with. That's going to do two things. One, it doesn't matter if one of the opportunities drops off or goes nowhere because you've got backups. Two, it means that you're going to be consistently trying to push what you charge on average because you don't have time to work with everybody. How have things been in the last few months with COVID? I've actually experienced better revenue because there's less people advertising. A lot of the people in the program, best way to think about it is the people that think COVID is a thing and that there's therefore going to be no opportunity, they stop reaching out. And then they get the results of what you expect from not reaching out, therefore they think it's COVID, but it's actually them stopping reaching out. We've had a lot of people do their best months in the last 3 months. Why? Because they just kept reaching out. And because they kept reaching out, they kept getting people on the phone. And that's how sales are made. Like, perfect example of this, like, just because COVID has happened, has your problem with figuring out how to grow your design business, has that problem gone away? No, that problem's still there. So like any other person in their lives or their business, just because COVID's popped up, does it get rid of any of their problems? Of course not. I've lost a lot of B2B clients because of the last 6 months. I need to rethink. Yeah. If you can't justify how people get a return on their money, yeah, design as a creative cost will very quickly get wiped away. Well done, Marcy. Do you ever respond to RFPs? What does RFP mean? Never. Never, ever respond to a request for proposal. That's not how I do business. People who want to work with me, they come through my channel, they fill out the survey to qualify whether they're a good fit, and they go through my sales process. If they don't want to fit in with that format, they're going to be too high maintenance. Got it. Any other questions, guys? Still 40 of you on the call, so there must be a few more. China, yeah, I will upload the replay just to people who subscribed to the event. So you will get another chance at it. Feel free to book a call at another time, but you won't get the discount if you feel like it's a good fit. and you won't get the free trial. Natasha, do you have examples of designers that are doing their offer the right way? Examples of their website? Yeah, I mean, doing the offer the right way is exactly this. All you got to do to get the offer the right way is, let's come here. Matt and Lisa, we help tech product companies that aren't generating market traction to get clear differentiation and a path and direct market to sales path. It's not more complex than that. 90% of the people in our program don't have portfolio websites. They just got a very simple website that just clearly communicates what problem they solve, and then they rely predominantly on LinkedIn or email outreach. Benjamin, awesome. This has been very useful as always. My pleasure. Thanks, Benjamin. You're going to be really disappointed in how average people's websites are. They just get their message right. Do you think it's better to book a call when you've got a clear idea about who your clients are and what you want to sell? I feel like I can't clearly answer this question yet. No, that's exactly what we help people with. So the biggest problem that everybody who comes into the program has is the fact that they don't know who their best client is. The most important thing you can do is learn how to identify who that client is, not figure out who it is and then come in. Because if you can figure out who it is by yourself, then you figured out what big problem you can solve for them. And if you can figure that out, you should be able to figure out how to get them the result. So what the big thing that we help people with is teaching you the principles and the entrepreneurial fundamentals to be like, I know how to see opportunity and I know how to identify who my best clients are. And we help you obviously figure that out as well. Jerome, will this video be available after the stream? I just logged in the last 10 minutes, so I missed it. Yeah, so you should be able to watch the replay for the next 24 hours on the page that you're on. I'll just leave it up for a while as well. So feel free to have a look at that. Jerome as well, for the next 15 minutes, I'm offering people to book a call. They get a 24-hour free trial of the mastermind program and a $2,000 Australian discount as well. So if that's something that you're interested in, we can obviously discuss that on a call. Edge Limited, same boat as Sonia. Yeah. So that's what the calls are for, is showing you how to think about clearly identifying who those ideal clients are. Kelson, yeah, that's what the call's for, and that's what the program's for. It's about what the program is about is showing you how to get a crystal clear idea of who the clients are that you should be helping and what you should be selling them, and then building that out with you and showing you how to market to them. Still 37 people, so I've been blabbering on for the last 15 minutes and we've only lost 4 people. So I'm guessing there's quite a few people that haven't asked questions. To those guys who have asked questions so far, thank you for that. But there's quite a few of you who haven't asked questions yet. Here's your opportunity. Feel free to fire them out. I'll literally answer anything, except like what my credit card details are. No worries. Look forward to chatting to you. Edge Limited? Is it a good example of one of them? Just to give you an example, um, Natasha. See, it's a pretty standard website. Most designers think that it's all about the website and that the website's absolutely key. It's nothing to do with the website. If you're not running paid ads, your website doesn't matter. You are your major marketing asset. So what most designers think is that it's like you just create this magical website and things will happen. It's not the case. Your website's nowhere near that important. It's just as designers, we put a lot of emphasis into the visual stuff. But what's more important is the results. It's getting the pain right. It's getting the pain of the problem that would lead people to hire right. And then your ability to conduct yourself in a valuable manner when you engage with people and reach out to them using Facebook or LinkedIn or email. During the advisory parts of your process, do you expend any money yourself or do you charge the client? Yeah, I don't expend any money. I'll always just pass the bills directly on to the client if there's like things that they need to do. Yeah, the less money that you have to handle, the better. You obviously just want to take what you require and like your fee, and then everything else should be dealt with them. Just from a taxation and an accounting standpoint as well. There's too many moving parts. Julie, what size is your team? I've got 2 virtual assistants who specialize in LinkedIn outreach. I've got a contracting team of 5 people in China, engineers and product designers. And then my sister does a bit of admin for me as well. Again, guys, if you want to book a call, profitabledesigner.com/apply. This is what you get from booking a call. This is what we'll walk through, right? Plus a 24-hour free trial as well. It looks like there's been quite a few people book calls. Fantastic. Kelson, Brian, Marcy, Sunil. I'll be speaking to you guys all very shortly. Look forward to chatting. Still got 31 people watching, guys. 9 minutes of asking questions if you want to, if you still want to ask questions. So I'm happy to answer anything. Still 31 of you. we've lost 10 people in the last 10 minutes. There's still 31 people, which means that people have still got questions in their head that they haven't asked yet. Do you charge your client by the project only, not by the hour? Absolutely. Yeah, Philip, I'll answer Array242. I'll answer your question in a sec. Do you charge your client by the project only? Yeah, I charge by the project. And the project, what I charge is based on the value of the outcome I can deliver. So there's nothing to do with how long it takes. There's some projects, I'll charge $25,000 and that'll be, might be 200 hours. And then there's some projects where it'll take me 10 hours and it'll be the same amount because it's based on the value of the outcome that I can deliver. Like there's some people that literally are prepared to sit in a room with me and pay me like $5,000 for a couple of hours of giving them advice because that advice is on how to connect them with the exact right manufacturer and save them hundreds of thousands of dollars of screwing something up. and connect them with the right buyer at like a retail chain. You can see it's about the value of the outcome. Whereas what most designers will do in that situation, they'll charge an hourly rate. Well, charging $100 an hour for those 2 hours of advice is ridiculous, because what if those 2 hours of advice allowed them to connect with the right retail contacts, which then got them into a retail stream, which allowed them to sell $5 million worth of merchandise in the space of 2 years? Am I going to charge $100 an hour for those 2 hours? No way. I'm going to charge based on the value of what I help them with. Having an issue with booking in October? Yeah, you won't be able to book that far out, unfortunately. You can only book out as far as, let's have a look, 3 days out. So you'll only be able to book on the 28th or the 27th to the 26th. Yeah, I don't like to book any events any further out than that, unfortunately. Cool. So we're losing a few more. We're kind of dwindling away, which is good. Still 25 of you on the call, though. So it sounds like you started as a designer and then added offerings based on your client needs, right? Yeah, that's a safe assumption, Julie. How long did it take you to become adequately expert in those other areas? Well, I kind of already was. It's just I wasn't talking about it. I've been put in a lucky situation where I've worked in relatively successful startups, and for big brands where I knew I knew the strategy that was required to get the outcome. It's just I was never talking about it because I positioned myself as a designer. So all I did was just talk about the projects that I helped contribute towards and the fact that these are the results that I helped contribute towards. And then as I got my own results, then I would be like, here's client A, we got them $1.5 million funding in this. Here's client B, we got them into Apple stores. You know what I mean? You're adequately an expert the minute that you know more than the person who's trying to solve the problem. You don't have to be a PhD in it. They just have to see value in getting. The minute that you can help somebody get closer to their goals, you're an expert. Whereas most designers are led to believe that you need to spend 30 years honing your craft before you can self-appoint yourself in it. Well, here's the thing. Experts are self-appointed. And the easiest way to become an expert is to specialize in something very specific. Because if you want to be the best branding agency in the world, I'm sorry, but Pentagram's probably already got that. But if you were to help e-commerce stores, you know, who only target a male demographic move into male female, then you could be the best in the world at that within 6 months. As a graphic designer, a lot of clients want designers to work in their offices. Would you just avoid those clients and focus on remote work clients? Yeah, well, Joe, the problem is that you're only going to get paid for your time if they want you to work in their office because you're just a glorified employee. You're never going to get paid expert rates if they want you to work in the office because they don't value your expertise. They only value your raw labor and your sweat. You're never going to be able to leverage real value by working based on time. So what you need to do is find clients that are prepared to leverage your expertise and what you know instead of what you do. They're going to be the better clients. RA242. If you filled out the form and you do want to chat, let me know what date you want to chat. Um, I'll ask. I'm happy to book a later date for you as well. Still 25 people on this call, so there must be more questions. Who hasn't asked a question yet? Who has a who wants to know something specifically about the best way for them to move forward, or like I'm happy to give you guys. I allocated. I thought it was going to take longer for the presentation. So I've got a bit of time, guys. You scheduled it for Monday at 11 a.m. I'd like to switch to Skype from phone so my partner can join. Yeah, more than fine. ARA, that's more than fine. For anybody who does book a call as well, I'm happy to do it on Zoom. What we do is I share screens and I walk you through the back end if you feel like it's a good fit, and I show you what the actual back end of the program looks like. 136 students I think we've got, the training program and the live coaching calls, etc. Um, yep. Anybody who wants it to be on Zoom, once you get the confirmation, just tell me Zoom and I'll shoot you a Zoom. How would you advise someone in the fine art space to proceed? I trip up on solving a problem issue. Kaz, that's a hard one. Because the big thing is that what we help businesses do is put themselves in a position where they can communicate their return on investment. So in regards to the fine art space, I generally would say that you kind of fit into the bracket of people that we wouldn't be able to help. But my advice, if you wanted to take our kind of line of thought, would be to figure out how you can overlap your skill with where the market's prepared to invest money. So I still think there's a massive potential for fine art to kind of converge with sales and marketing in a way that can help a business, but that's generally against the kind of values of fine art, I suppose. But yeah, hopefully I can be of value. Because if you've got any other questions as well, feel free to email me, because I'm more than happy to help. But I wouldn't say we kind of focus predominantly on helping people with commercial, like that face businesses, I suppose. But I've seen a lot of people do it. Like there's a lot of fine artists. I have a handful of mates that started up a business in Sydney, and they're all fine artists, like painting murals, etc. And they paint full size billboards by hand, and they get their clients are some of the biggest clients in the world, because they sell the experience of people watching the billboard get painted by hand instead of just like just laying out the roll and putting it up. It's really powerful. My pleasure, Kaz. Um, cool. Still 20 people, so there must be a few more questions. They're called apparition media. Kaz, have a look at these guys. Yeah, Yeah, they're really cool. One of my best mates from school. But you can see that it's like performance art combined with experiential marketing. But they found a really cool way to utilize their skill set and overlap it with where the market's prepared to spend money. You know what I mean? And they're the only people that do it. Okay, so we've still got 20 people on the call. We're going to wrap up in just a second, guys. So I might do like a last kind of minute roundup for calls for any questions. And then obviously this is your last opportunity as well, guys. I'll close the doors to the booking. profitabledesigner.com/apply. We can sit down and chat about your business for 45 minutes. I'll ask you a few questions and obviously point you in the right direction. If you feel like it's a good fit and you like what you see with the mastermind, people who book in the next, last minute or two, you get a $2,000 discount. Yeah. Pardon? Pardon me, but and a 24-hour free trial of the program as well. So any final questions before we get stuck in? What percentage of your time do you focus on product design versus entrepreneurial consulting? Very good question. I'd spend probably 40% of my time on the product design business because I've been building the operational procedures for everything for the last 4 or 5 years. I predominantly just focus on front-end business development, running the marketing campaigns, selling people in to the projects, and then top-level creative directing. And I'll only do 2 and 3 projects per month. So then the rest of the time is building out Profitable Designer, making improvements, the live group coaching calls, mentoring, etc. About 40-60. We're in the final round of an RFP and we need to do a presentation October 5. So I'm looking forward to applying these strategies and learning more in our call Monday. Yeah, absolutely. The reason I don't do RFPs is because pitching takes time and most people don't bill the pitch time. Oh, okay. Cool, Julie. Sounds good. Well, I look forward to speaking to both of you guys. Yeah, my pleasure. Okay, 18 people still. 1 minute final questions, and then we'll call it quits, guys. Any final questions? I will say, thank you all for your time. Greatly appreciated. Thank you all for the questions as well. It really helps me produce better trainings in the future. I would love you to just let me know what your major takeaway was, or the biggest problem that you had coming into the program, to the webinar as well. But yeah, hopefully I've provided some value today and given you the ability to kind of look at things through a different perspective. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed it. Thank you for another great seminar. Were you on one last month, Hal? No worries, guys. Cool. Well, I'm going to call it quitsies there, guys. Again, thank you for your time. Have a great Friday. Enjoy your weekend. And for those people who have booked a call, look forward to chatting to you. And yeah, thanks for watching again, Hal. Greatly appreciated. Have a great Friday, guys.